Your 20s are coined as the time to live your life, enjoy your youth, and be totally carefree. Now, while I agree with the sentiment, I also really believe that the decisions that you make in your 20s sets you up for the rest of your life ahead. And particularly the financial decisions that you make in your 20s have a huge impact on your quality of life for years to come. So with that in mind, here are some financial mistakes I think you should be avoiding while you're in your 20s to ensure that you're setting yourself up for success. Let's get straight in. So the first one, this one might hurt to hear a little bit, but it's an important thing to grasp. You should not be taking any financial advice from people that are not in the position financially that you want to see yourself in. Now, don't get me wrong, those closest to you might have the best intentions for you when it comes to them advising you, but the truth is, if they're not great at managing their own money, and if they have very little knowledge on how to actually grow your net worth, the best thing that you can do for yourself is take their advice with a pinch of salt. Now, don't get me wrong, this doesn't discount the idea of learning from other people's mistakes. And if you do have people in your life that have made mistakes in the past, you can learn from those. But taking direct advice from those same people that have not then made it to that position that you're seeking and that goal that you're trying to reach, you are far better off seeking out those people that are in those positions and asking them for advice or listening to what they have to say on how they actually got there. Okay, mistake number 2 is ignoring the investing world because you think it's too scary, too complicated, and too risky. Do you know what else is super, super risky? Leaving all your money in a bank account. That is also risky because do you know what? As time goes on and inflation increases, your money that you put in your bank account and leave there for years on end because you're saving it up and you're not really quite sure what you want to do with it, that money is decreasing in value too. So whatever you are doing with your money, it's a risk that you're taking. But I totally understand, okay? The investing world is foreign, it's confusing. It is scary for the majority of us to think about even getting started with. But guess what? It's also how the rich get richer. So you are totally doing yourself a disservice by ignoring the things that you don't understand. It's time to start making an effort to actually understand that world. And there are a good few resources online or in books that you can start to gain knowledge in this area from a beginner-friendly level. So if you're stuck on where to get started, let me share some resources that I used at the beginning of my journey. And don't get me wrong, I'm not a pro investor in any way, and none of this is financial advice at all. I'm on this learning journey as much as you are, but I have also realized in the last few years the importance of investing and the part it has to play in actually growing your wealth. If you want to get started via free content, I really recommend binging YouTube. The people that I started watching at the start of my journey was Ali Abdaal. He literally showed online his portfolio and how much it grew from, I think, a 7-year period, and he gives quite detailed information on how he invests and the actual proof of how it has impacted his finances. So definitely give Ali Abdaal a watch if you've not come across his channel before. I don't know what rock you've been hiding under. The next person is Jennifer Thompson. I think she's based in Scotland and she used to be known as Mama Further, I think. And she has some great content on how to get started in investing and kind of breaks down the jargon a little bit for you to really make you understand what things mean and what it means for you as well as someone that wants to start investing. So in terms of free content, those are 2 that I started with, but there are plenty more online. So the more you start engaging with investing content and content around finances and learning about it, trust me when I tell you, the algorithm will keep you in that space. So it's best to start engaging with some content like that online. Just be very careful as well. Like, not everything you see online is financial advice that is suitable for you. So unless you're paying someone to advise you, always be cautious, but they are a really good start in just understanding the importance of it, what it can do for you, and where you can kind of get started yourself. Now, if you want a book to read, there is a really great book that I recommend that I pretty much was the first book I read in terms of investing. I'm actually going to leave a picture of it on the screen so you can have a look and screenshot it if you want. And that is basic level investing. Like, if you want a book that's literally going to teach you from the bottom, that's a really good book to start with. There is no shame in learning something from scratch, even if it's something that a lot of other people know about. There is no shame in it, and that's why resources like this book are really great, because for those of us who haven't been taught those things and have to kind of figure it out for ourselves, things like that is exactly what you need. So I really recommend that book. There is also the Girls That Invest podcast, which is actually free, but they also have a book as well. I rave about Simran Kaur all the time. That is someone that you should also be following online, girlies, if you are looking to start investing, because she shares so much insightful information on there and it's free. Following someone on Instagram is free, and while you're following all these celebrities, it's so important to actually follow people that, you know, teach you stuff. So follow Simran Kaur, follow Girls That Invest, their page on Instagram, and listen to their podcast as well, because that's also a really, really great way to get your foot in the door when it comes to finding out and understanding what it means to invest as well. Okay, so mistake number 3 to avoid making while you're in your 20s is not tracking your income and expenses every month, and subsequently not budgeting for every month as well. The best way to make the most out of what you earn every single month and be able to save the correct amounts, be able to afford the things that you want, is to track what is coming in and what is going out. Now, there are so many ways you can do this. It is really not that difficult. It just takes a little bit of extra time every month to actually sit down and look at all the numbers. But you can create your own Excel spreadsheet and plug them all in there. I actually did that for myself. When I first went on this journey of tracking my income and expenses was when I was saving up to buy this property that I now live in, which was my first home that I bought myself. I used to go through month on month tracking exactly what was coming in, what was going out, and by doing that, I was able to really determine, okay, what's going out that I can cut back on, and where are my goals and how am I heading towards it, and what are my budgets for the month, and how soon am I going to reach these goals and things that feel like pipe dreams. The tracker that I use is also automated, so I've set up auto calc, so it calculates exactly how much income, expenses, if you are someone that has a lot of income streams, if you are someone that spends a lot in a variety of different areas, it also calculates everything for you. You plug in what budget that you want, and it also tallies up how much of your budget you've spent as a month goes by. You can also use apps, guys. You don't have to set up your own spreadsheet. If you do want to use a spreadsheet, you can actually purchase the one that I created. I did make it available a couple of years ago now, so it is available. I'll leave a link in the description of this video in case you want to take a look. But of course, like I said, there are so many different ways to do it. That's just one option. So if that's something that works well for you and you don't have the time or the patience to create your own spreadsheet, then definitely go and have a look at mine. It also comes with a full instruction tab and a demo video just to help you understand how it works and get started as soon as possible. But like I said, apps do it. You can just look through your bank statements, like however makes sense to you. The trick is to make sure you are figuring out the way that is most convenient for you, because that's the only way that's going to make sure that you're going to stick to it month on month and make sure you are continuing this process of tracking and budgeting. Now, the 4th mistake actually leads quite nicely in from that point. It is a huge mistake to not have any financial goals, guys. If you do have goals such as I want to buy a house, I want to buy a car, if there's monetary goals that you have and things you're saving up for, those things you need to have really clear in your mind, because only then will you be motivated to do point 3 and track your expenses and, you know, budget every single month and stay on track with all those things, because you know exactly where you're headed and where that process is going to eventually lead you to. Having goals in mind keeps you on track with your budgeting and with your tracking of finances, and it keeps you motivated and holds you accountable as well, because at the beginning, if you have those financial goals and you realize, okay, if I'm budgeting this much and I'm putting this aside every single month, then you're going to know the trajectory of like how fast it's going to take you to get to that goal, because of how much money you're saving to then, you know, have enough to buy that thing. So if you are slacking, it's going to take you a bit longer. So it does hold you accountable, and it makes sure that you are not going to let yourself down, because you are so clear on what your goals are and where you're headed. Now, don't get me wrong, these financial goals or these monetary goals that you have are completely separate to an emergency fund, you guys. And it is so, so crucial to make sure you have an emergency fund set up. So the idea is that you shouldn't ever be just saving money for the sake of saving it, or saving it for no real purpose. There is literally no purpose to having money sat in your bank account and you're like, okay, I'm saving this and I'm keeping money back every month, but eventually I don't know where this is gonna go, or I'm just gonna, you know, eat it away, literally, on takeaways, or drink it away, or, you know, do these random things, but nothing that's actually fulfilling and it's gonna make you feel like, oh, me working all these hours for this money is actually worth it. So when I talk about an emergency fund, that is so, so important for you to have, whether you are self-employed, whether you're employed. You never know what could happen with your circumstances, with your health, with your job. There are so many things that you just really want to, you know, have your own back financially. So setting up an emergency fund, ideally you want to have 6 months expenses basically in a pot, and that is a pot that you do not touch. It's not a typical savings pot which you can just dip into whenever you feel like. No, that is for emergencies only. That is for dire circumstances, like if you lose your job, if you become sick and you can't work for a prolonged period of time, if you have to take time off work to care for someone else, if something happens and it has an impact on your finances and you are already stressed dealing with that thing, you do not want to be faffing with, oh my god, but now I'm not going to have any money for my bills for the next few months. If you have that emergency fund pot, you will already be taken care of. You're taking care of future you. So make sure you have that. I cannot believe how many people don't even consider having an emergency fund pot. It is so crucial, and it just saves you a lot of stress and worry when shit hits the fan, you know? So just be prepared, because we can't avoid ish going wrong in life, but what you can avoid is the stress that comes with it if you have planned in advance. So have your emergency fund pot, and then also have other pots that are dedicated to certain monetary goals. Do not just be saving money for the sake of it. Think about, what are your goals for your life? Like, what do you want to achieve? Do you want to go traveling for 6 months and just experience that life? What are you doing to actually make sure that you're going to be able to afford that? Have you factored in like how much that would actually cost? Do you know the figure? Are you now working towards it? Have you got a pot put together that you're starting to incrementally add to? Think about these things in advance. Okay, mistake number 5 to avoid. Might rub people up the wrong way, but I'm going to say it anyway. So you should not be lending people money with the expectation of getting it back. Now, let me explain what I mean by this. When you lend someone an amount of money and it puts you out, like you've lent so much to the point where you might actually struggle to pay a bill this month, or you're expecting to get it back, but if you don't get it back, you're actually going to be in hardship. There is no reason for you to put yourself in financial hardship for the sake of someone else in the name of helping them. Have you ever heard the saying, put your own oxygen mask on first before you help anyone else? Because you can't physically help anyone else if you're causing yourself to literally die. When you think about the idea of lending people money, helping people out financially, this is lessons that trust me when I tell you, I've learned these lessons myself, and you should only be lending people money with the expectation of not getting it back. There's 2 parts to this. Sometimes you do actually help people out with the expectation of not getting it back because, you know, you did them a favor, you just did something to help and be nice. In that scenario, I would also say, do not put yourself out too much to the point where you're going to suffer yourself. You putting yourself in a difficult financial situation for the sake of someone else is not beneficial to anyone, especially not you. Like, you are your first priority at the end of the day, and people don't like people saying that or talking about that, but at the end of the day, that is facts, okay? You're your own first priority as an adult. You're responsible for yourself just as everyone else is, so do not be putting yourself out. Unless they're your dependent and your child, that's a little bit different. But I'm talking adult to adult. Don't be putting yourself out financially for the sake of anyone else. You can lend money, you can help others, but not to the point where it leaves you struggling. The other side of this is maybe you lent a friend money and this agreement was that they were going to pay you back. They just fell short for a month on their own bills and they were struggling a bit and they wanted your help, and it was basically a loan. Do not agree to these types of situations unless you'd be happy to never see that money again. If you're genuinely lending money to someone with the expectation of getting it back, and it's a sum of money that if you didn't get it back, you would again, you know, fall into hardship yourself, do not lend that money. Because then do you know what happens? Then you put a strain on that friendship because now you're a bit resentful that you actually really needed that money, they're not paid it back in time, or they're delaying it, or something's gone wrong, and now you're actually stressed financially, you've got your own worries on top of the fact that this friendship's now breaking up because the initial issue was that you lent more than you could actually afford, essentially. Now, there are many instances where it won't hurt the bank to help out a friend. If you pay for their meal, if you pay for their drink when you're out, if you know, little things here and there just to help someone out. But if you're paying for someone's rent for the month because they couldn't cover it on their own, knowing that you probably will struggle to pay for your own, don't do it. You are not everyone else's savior, and I'm speaking from an eldest daughter lens at the same time here now, just because some of us out there with that type of personality that will put ourselves out for the sake of others and help them out, knowing that we will be struggling ourselves in the name of trying to be helpful and trying to take care of others. So I'm just here to say, don't make that mistake in your 20s, because at the end of the day, like I said, you're responsible for yourself as much as you feel like you're responsible for everyone else sometimes. So if you're that type of personality, this message is for you. If you're not that type of personality, then this is probably going way over your head and you're thinking, why on earth would I give someone money when I can't afford shit for myself. Okay, the last point that I want to mention in this video is probably one of the most important points, so I want you to hear me loud and clear on this one, okay? One of the biggest mistakes that you can make financially, and especially in your 20s and when you're starting to, get your first job and manage money for the first time, and in your early 20s is when you actually start to build those money management skills. If you are not working on your abundance mindset amongst all this, oh no, 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 no. Don't ever underestimate the power of your mindset towards money. If you want to take anything from this video, take this last point. An abundance mindset is when you genuinely believe in your heart that there is plenty to go around for everyone, and you will never be at a disadvantage because someone else got something first or got what you wanted. Now, a lot of us have been conditioned to operate from the lack mindset or the scarcity mindset, and in society in general, this mindset just seems to be more apparent. I feel like we are all conditioned to kind of compete in these invisible competitions. A lot of people get stuck in this idea of comparison and thinking, oh, they've got to that point quicker than me, and now that takes away from my success when I eventually reach that point. Or they got that opportunity, which means now I've missed out on that because they've got it instead. That is absolutely not how the world works. Let me tell you this for free. You could save all the money you want, you could work as hard as you possibly want, but if you don't have this abundance mindset, none of those things are going to help you reach your goals or help you get that financial freedom. So let me share with you a few steps. If you are someone that is new to abundance mindset and wants to learn how to make sure that you are operating from an abundance mindset, let me share a few little tips with you on how you can get started, because this is so key. The first thing is to practice gratitude. And when I say practice gratitude, I mean genuinely every single day, sit there and actively think about the things that you're grateful for. Because I know for a fact you're sitting there thinking, of course I'm grateful for the things that I have in my life. Yeah, I'm grateful for this and that. But do you actually genuinely, in your heart of hearts, think to yourself regularly, I am so grateful for XYZ in my life? And do you really pay attention to it? And do you also bring yourself to a place of gratitude even when things go wrong? Because I know that's a very tricky thing to do, but trust me, that is genuinely what it means to practice gratitude. And it doesn't negate from the fact that, things go wrong in life, things get difficult, and I know it can be hard to keep spirits up sometimes. But in a general sense, if you always manage to bring yourself back to a place of feeling gratitude for what you do have, rather than focusing on the lack of something, that is what it means to practice gratitude. And that is exactly what leads you to having an abundance mindset. Now, the second step to practicing an abundance mindset is to shift in your perspective on things. So very similar to kind of what I gave an example for in the practicing gratitude. If things go wrong, if things don't work out how you expect them to, shift your perspective on those things. I'll give you a little example of my own perspective shift that I had to make not that long ago. So a lot of you guys will know that I was made redundant from my job at the end of last year. I'm not gonna lie to you, I was sat in my doldrums for a little bit thinking, oh my god, this is not a great time to be losing your job, cost of living crisis, I have my own bills to pay. Yeah, it wasn't a great situation to be in, but I had to shift my perspective. And I had to actually focus on the fact that I wanted to leave my job for a very long time, just didn't have the guts to. I just got paid to leave the job that I didn't really want to be in. And now I actually have been opened a whole new door of opportunities because I can explore all the career options and all the things that I wanted to do before and never had the time to. I've just been shoved in that direction. I didn't have to force my way into it. It wasn't really made difficult for me. Although there was difficulty in the situation, I chose not to focus on what was difficult, and I chose to focus on the opportunity and what I could gain from that situation. So this point is all about what you choose to focus on, because there is good in everything and there's also bad in everything. But are you choosing to focus on the bad more than the good, or vice versa? And that is exactly where your abundance mindset comes from. Okay, the third point I will leave you with, just to make sure that you are nailing that abundance mindset, is seeking out the learning opportunities from every experience. We all go through shit. We know that. Things go wrong, things don't go how we always plan them to go. That is just the nature of life. None of us can avoid that unless you're superhuman or a mythical creature. There is no way you're going to cruise through this life without things going wrong. The point in sticking to your abundance mindset is to seek out the learning opportunities in those things that go wrong. Don't just see it as something that goes wrong and something that's just, you know, had a bad impact on your life, and it's that for that season, and then that's as much as you see it as. If you operate with that mentality, you're gonna keep getting the same patterns in your life repeating over and over again, because there are lessons in everything. And if you're not learning them, and if you're going into the next situation with that same mindset or making those same decisions that you did before, or, you know, taking on those same actions, you're going to be hit with that same problem again. So learn from what happened in the past. You can forgive, you can move on. And if it was a difficult situation with another person, for example, you can leave that in the past, and you can, you know, free yourself from the emotional torment of it, but learn the lessons. Don't go into the next situation which seems kind of similar with that same attitude, or take same actions, or, you know, do something differently, because I'll tell you now, things will keep repeating themselves until you realize the patterns, and you realize what you need to change in yourself, and you realize the lessons that you need to learn. And that is also part of the abundance mindset, because you're not taking things as an attack. You're not taking things as you're a victim in the situation. You're taking things as that I'm someone that's dealing with this because I need to learn from it and grow from it. And when I enter new situations and similar issues crop up, I will then know how to deal with it properly, and I will then be able to move through it more smoothly than I have in the past, because now I have the knowledge and experience that I didn't have before. Operating with this mindset will keep you from feeling stagnant and going through the same old ish, and stop you feeling like a victim. I feel like too many of us do get trapped in that victim mentality a lot of the time, and that serves nobody. And I'm not at all saying don't be upset when things go wrong, or don't be upset when people hurt you, or don't be upset when, you know, life has its tragedies. All I'm saying is don't stay in that place of lack, of this bad thing's happened to me. Why me? That mindset, trust me, that mindset has such a big impact on your finances. I feel like people don't understand at all how much their mindset affects everything physical in their life. And that's something that I've talked about on and off on my channel and on my other pages before. And I'd definitely be happy to talk more about it on here in the future. So let me know if you want to hear more mindset shifting stuff and you just want me to talk about that more, because aside from money, there's so much to be said about, you know, making effort to consciously think about things in a new and a different way if your previous ways have been harming you. I'm gonna leave that video there, you guys. I really hope that you found this video helpful, and I really hope that you take this on board and make sure you are avoiding these mistakes that I've mentioned in the video. If you're a 20-something-year-old person and you are just, you know, navigating life as an adult you're a fresh adult, you're navigating new experiences, you know, you probably got your first job, you're managing money for the first time. There are so many things that we are not taught in school or growing up, a lot of us. So I really hope that by hearing this, and if it's not stuff that you've heard before, then hopefully going forward, you know how to put your best foot forward, and the things to just like, you know, double check and double think about when you enter certain situations, because being in control of your finances is so crucial. And it's crazy that it's not something that's not, you know, given more importance as we're growing up to learn about and understand. But that's why I think it's so important for us to have these discussions online and help each other out, because otherwise, how do we all learn? So let me know if you think there's anything else in the comments that should be avoided. I think we all need to help each other out here. This is a community, so drop your suggestions below. Let me know if you enjoyed the video. Let me know if you found it helpful. And with all that being said, you guys, I will catch you in the next video. Bye, guys.